presentation. Hello, everyone. My name is Patrick Dean, and I'm an Assistant Director of Admissions here at WPI. I first want to start off by saying congratulations on your acceptance to WPI. We were very impressed with everything that we saw in your application, and we're so excited that you're here with us today to learn a little bit more about biology and biotechnology. Now, to let you know how this presentation is going to run, it will be done through a Zoom webinar format, so we will not be able to see you or hear you throughout the time here. But what I highly encourage everyone to do is pose any questions that you might have in the question and answer tab that we have below. We will make sure to have time at the end of the presentation today to address all of the questions that you may have. With that being said, I'll turn it over to our faculty members and students to take it away.
Thank you so much, Patrick. Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us. My name is Natalie Farney. I'm an assistant professor of biology and biotechnology here at WPI, and I'm really delighted to be with you and to tell you more about our program. We know that you've been accepted to a lot of great programs, and we appreciate you taking the time to consider our program and to hear more about it. I am joined today by Adrian Orshulak, and Hannah Smith, another student, is here too as well. Thanks to Adrian and Hannah for joining us, and they're going to jump in and share some of the student experience as I'm going through this presentation. So thank you both for joining us. So please, as Patrick said, please put any questions that you have for all three of us into that chat feature, and we'll get to them at the end. Also, I'd like to point out that we're on social media. We have Twitter, we have Instagram. There's a QR code in the top right of your screen right now that will take you to our department website. So please do check those out, and there's more information there. So biology really is the technology of the 21st century. There's never been a more exciting time to be a biologist, and it's really become part of our everyday experience, right? We know that from the pandemic that we've all been living through, some of these complex biological thoughts and ideas have really become integrated into our common language, like the concept of herd immunity. So, that's a biological concept. And the virus itself, also the mRNA vaccine, which is a biotechnology. So it's an application of our understanding of biology. And even beyond the pandemic, there's also been a lot in the news about climate change, about pollution, about exciting new technologies that allow us to grow everything using cells, from food to biofuels to next generation building materials. And again, these are all biotechnologies that make a difference in our world. And the solution to some of our problems is really through our understanding of biology, to be able to restore our natural world and conserve it for future generations. And so biology is really a keystone field for all of the exciting things that are happening in these areas right now. And because biology is so central to many of solving the world's challenges in the future, we've seen a lot of growth in biology. So you can see on this this diagram that this is the projected 10-year growth in jobs in the biology sector. So there's 6.1% growth that's predicted in biology compared to 2.7% in biomedical engineering, or a decline of 3.2% in chemical engineering. And the job prospects, both here in Massachusetts, but also on the West Coast, California, are very high when it comes to biology. So there's a huge demand for the types of jobs that we train our students for here at WPI. But beyond just thinking about jobs, we really put a lot of thought and a lot of care and a lot of intent into our mission and vision and values in our department. So our vision is to cultivate scientific literacy and curiosity, and to generate new knowledge through our research that drives change for global impact. So we really are looking to cultivate that next generation of scientists that are looking to change the world. Our mission in the biology and biotechnology department is to deliver the highest quality project-based life science education and foster research that enriches our understanding of life's principles and to build a community that nurtures a sense of collegiality and shared responsibility. And again, project-based learning is so central to what we do here at WPI. I'm going to talk more about that specifically and give you some examples of how that looks in the biology and biotechnology department. And we focus our core values in the biology biotechnology department on knowledge acquisition and skills acquisition, and also our community. So just to tell you a little bit about what our curriculum looks like. During the first year, we have a really fantastic opportunity, which is called the Great Problem Seminars. So the Great Problem Seminars is a semester-long experience in which students work together in teams to solve global challenges. So these challenges can be everything from tackling extinctions, looking for the next generation of therapeutics to heal the world, or building materials to shelter the world, finding new ways to promote sustainability in our communities, and there are many others having to do with energy and other types of engineering as well. So these are really interdisciplinary experiences that students in any major can participate in. And part of what's really important about the Great Problem Seminars is that it really teaches students how to work as part of a team. It teaches students those intangible skills about how to do problem solving on the fly, how to negotiate in a team setting, how to be resourceful and find the resources you need to solve really difficult problems. And so this is part of the way in which we prepare our students to really be folks that can go out and have global impact in their chosen field. So many of our students will take this Great Problem Seminar in the first year. We like to think of the second year or the sophomore year as the year of the humanist. So at WPI, we have a humanities and arts requirement. So in addition to taking classes in your major discipline, there's also humanities and arts that you will take and also complete a project in order to sort of broaden and deepen your understanding of how technology and science fits into the world. And so there's all kinds of opportunities, from theater to art to music, writing and rhetoric and foreign languages, that will really shape and enhance your experience here at WPI, and will also give you the tools that you need to integrate your science and your engineering interests into the broader society. So just as an example of what that kind of pedagogical approach looks like, at WPI, our courses are very project-based. So this may mean active learning. So students are working together on a project during class time some of the times. This includes flipped classes, which means doing group work and assignments working together during class, and reading or watching videos outside of class to gain content. So that's sort of the idea of inverting the classroom experience. And most of our courses are very student-centered. So it's about figuring out what students' passions are and giving them the opportunity to explore. And so one example that comes from our department that I'd like to share, one of our professors, Maria Bachermans, is an ecologist. And she's really passionate about empowering students to create knowledge. And so one of the ways that she does this in her introductory biodiversity course is by having students actually write textbooks. So these are open source online textbooks, and you can look these up, that students have written to contribute to the body of knowledge about biodiversity. So this top example is a lesson about red wolves that includes lesson plans, activities, assessments, so that a teacher could then go in their class and deliver this, this unit. The bottom example here is an example on restoration in Florida. So the seagrass areas where manatees and other organisms live is being depleted. And so students work together with a restoration center in Florida to publish educational materials, both in English and in Spanish, to help educate people about the importance of these seagrass areas. And so this is an example of how our students really learn by doing, and by doing in projects that have important global impact. So as a junior, you'll go through our signature project experience, which is called the IQP, or the Interactive Qualifying Project. So the Interactive Qualifying Project is it's a service learning project, and many of our students will do these projects at one of our many global project centers around the world. So this is often a time to study and to do project work in a community where you can learn about how to engage with a global audience. And so to talk more about the IQP experience, I'd like to turn it over to Hannah, who's going to tell you a little bit about her project, her IQP project.
Thanks. Hi, everyone. My name's Hannah. I'm a rising senior, currently a junior at WPI, and I just returned from my IQP in March, where I spent 7 weeks in Cuenca, Ecuador. Here, I was given the task to work with my team and create some sort of accessible outlet on how to educate the public on traditional medicinal plants. We worked, we did field work in a traditional medicinal plant from the Andean garden. And our advisors and sponsors really wanted us to find a way to educate the public on how to use these plants and the scientific uses of these plants. So my team created an app in the 7 weeks that we were there, with all the information on the plants grown in the garden, both scientifically and how to make it in your own home, and how to bring it into like different recipes. And we turned it over to the museum that we were working with. This was a really great experience, and we all had a really fun time being in a different country. I did my humanities as a sophomore in Spanish, so it was great to put all my learning to the test, and we conducted our whole research project in Spanish and wrote our proposal in Spanish and English as well. So not only did I get to have the scientific exposure of the plants, but I also got to really be proficient in Spanish and practice that as well. So if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat. And yeah, thank you.
That's great. Thank you so much, Hannah. That's a super exciting project, and it's so great that you got to integrate your humanities and arts experience with your IQP experience. And so that's really a perfect example of what we do at WPI, you know, really trying to integrate this global learning aspect into our understanding of science and technology. And so another example from our department is a authentic research lab experience. So we have a number of our research labs in our department. These are our classes where students learn laboratory skills, are separate courses. So it's not that in a lot of other universities, they have an intro bio class and then there's a lab with it and you just take that lab. So that's not how we do things there in BBT at WPI. We have different research labs. You can choose the types of lab experiences that you want. And many of these are based on the ongoing research in our faculty's labs. So this example here is we have a faculty member, Scarlett Shell, who works on tuberculosis and the emergence of drug resistance in tuberculosis. And so Scarlett Shell is collaborating with Professor Lou Roberts, who runs our one of our biotechnology labs, to actually contribute to Professor Shell research by having students use models of tuberculosis, laboratory safe models of tuberculosis, to further explore hypotheses about how this drug resistance emerges. And so our students are really contributing new knowledge to our understanding of tuberculosis, and getting that experience of getting into the lab and doing laboratory techniques where you don't know what the answer is going to be. So you don't necessarily know what the outcome of the experiment is going to be, which is really how it is in the real world of research. And so our students get that very authentic experience in our lab curriculum. And these authentic research experiences are part of how we prepare our students for the most authentic research experience that they'll have, which is our major qualifying project, or MQP. So the major qualifying project is a senior year project. It's sort of equivalent to a senior thesis. And students are in research labs. They can be both here on WPI campus, or there are project centers where you can do projects off campus. You can also go to companies or other nearby universities to do biology research with faculty. And so to talk more about the MQP experience, I'd like to invite Adrian to share his experience with the MQP.
Thank you, Dr. Fernie. So hi, my name is Adrian. I'm a current senior and will be graduating in about a month, a little about a month. I'm working with Dr. Scarlett Shell in her lab and on my MQP. Now I'm about to describe a little bit special situation since I'm a double major in biology and biotechnology and bioinformatics and computational biology. I'm completing 2 MQPs, but in the normal case for normal majors, you'll be having just 1 MQP per degree. If you have questions about that, we can open that later during a Q&A session. On these projects, they are twofold, like I mentioned, one for the bio side and one for the bioinformatics side. On the bio side, I'm taking those laboratory safe models that Dr. Farney mentioned for M. tuberculosis in order to understand how its mRNA is impacting its survival and how it can be used as a physical mechanism to regulate growth and find ways to treat against drug resistance. On the computational side, I'm taking the metabolic pathway of M. tuberculosis, the whole part that makes life possible within the bacteria itself, and trying to create a prototype visualization that maps it, that not only includes the ability to see the data and look at how it's being presented, but also draw inferences from the existing data set and any other data sets you're planning to implement and planning to upload to note changes in the expression for a particular bacteria strain or particular model version that you have. In the MQP itself, you take it mainly over the course of two terms, usually 2 terms of 1/6 or 3 total 1/3 credits, since we have the 7-week term system here. And along that lines, you'll be doing this instead of another class. So it would be 2 classes in your MQP. The MQP itself takes in all knowledge and sets up a great baseline, especially when looking for future job prospects or trying to apply to graduate school, by giving you the hands-on research and laboratory experience that I believe was able to propel me to getting accepted into graduate school, but also sets you up well for the workforce. In my example in particular, I'm working with qPCR, flow cytometry, RNA extractions, and many hands-on methods that are used commonly in the research world in the current present, not just some techniques that people know have been using or have been using in the past. They're very modern, very up-to-date. In the bioinformatics side, using different kinds of computer languages in order to gain the baseline level understanding how different data sets come together. From your experience, if you so choose to join us through WPI, I believe taking in that as bio is a keystone region, a keystone keystone field to many different other degree fields, you'll be able to implement different perspectives that help you better analyze data and progress your research.
Great, thank you so much, Adrian. Of course, we understand that choosing to go to college and choosing where you want to go to college is an investment, and that everyone's looking for a return on that investment, right? And so we've talked a bit about the very specific ways in which we prepare our students to go into the workforce and be very competitive. So we mentioned learning to work as a collaborative team, thinking creatively, getting a lot of hands-on skills, problem-solving skills, and not really, it's not a place where we're just gonna tell you what to do, but where you're gonna learn how to chart your own path. And so this slide is just showing what the earning potential is for a degree. This is for a bachelor's degree in biology right now. The median is about $60,000 a year. You can see in Massachusetts and California, it's a little bit higher. And what I've seen time and again, and I've been a faculty member here for 9 years, but there are companies and places that come back to me every year and ask and say, send me more of your students. Can you send me another student? Can you send me a graduating student? Because our students are just so well prepared for the workforce. The way that we educate our students here is so unique and prepares them for what the job market is really like out there. So we think that this is really a good investment. 97% of our students will receive some kind of aid. We do have a 38% higher starting salary than the national average. And again, the skills that we're preparing our students with here at WPI enable you to really hit the ground running when you get to companies. So you have hands-on skills, you have negotiating skills, you have group work skills, all the things you need to be successful in whatever comes next for you, whether that's the biotechnology industry or graduate program like Adrian's off to in the fall, or pre-health programs. Our students are really very well prepared for whatever it is that they want to do. We like to brag about some of the unique things that we have here at WPI. So we are a nationally recognized program for project-based engineering curriculum. We've received several awards for our project-based approach to education. And again, this helps our students develop leadership skills, innovative problem solving, interdisciplinary collaborative skills, global competencies, all the things that prepare folks to make an impact in this world. We're also, we were recently voted by the Wall Street Journal one of the best universities for combining scholarly research with classroom instruction. And so the way that we integrate our classroom experiences with the research of our faculty really makes a difference for our students. We have teams of students that go on to do things like BattleBots, which is a robotics competition. We even had a student from our department who was a Jeopardy finalist, Ali Ross. So at this time, we'd like to open it up to your questions. Happy to answer any questions that you have about our program.
Awesome. I thought that was a great presentation with so much amazing information in it. Thank you. So
Thank
it's a fantastic time for you all as accepted students to pick the brains of a current faculty member and current students who are in the department that you want to go into. So definitely take this time, put any questions you have in the question and answer box and the chat box, and we're more than happy to answer anything for you. While we're actually waiting for questions to come in, Hannah and Adrian, do you mind if I pose a question to you all? Oh, actually, we just got two coming in. Never mind. Perfect. So question coming in, what was it like taking 2 MQPs?
I'll take the question. It's not as great as it sounds, to be quite honest. It's a lot of work, especially since you have to balancing one project is a lot on its own, especially since these projects for MQP are very student driven. Like I was working with Dr. Shell in her lab for about a year before I then went to talk to her about creating an MQP. And then for my bioinformatics side, I went up to one of the professors in CS here at WPI, Dr. Lane Harrison, and formed an idea about an MQP that we would go through with right over the summer before my senior year started. So in retrospect for that, sticking with one and trying to combine 2 if you're double majoring would be the most ideal. But as long as you're able to correctly allocate time, know where the priorities are for what deadlines are, keep on top of those deadlines, it's relatively smooth sailing.
Awesome. That's great. Thank you. We just had another attendee ask, how would one go about pursuing a pre-med program through their biology major?
Absolutely. So many of our students go on to medical schools and other health programs. So the biology major at WPI is probably, of all the majors, the best aligned to the med school prerequisites. So it will be the least difficult to hit all the prerequisites and still hit your major. still get all the classes you need for your major. We do have an office of pre-health advising that is dedicated to ensuring that our students meet all of the pre-health requirements. Our very able Elizabeth Jacoby is our pre-health advisor, and she's a wonderful, wonderful person. And I always advise my students to meet with her at least once per year to ensure that they're tracking with all of the pre-med requirements. Our classes are a little bit different because they're on these 7-week terms. And so there are a few small adjustments that students need to make when they are choosing classes in order to make sure that pre-med programs understand what the equivalencies are between our 7 weeks and a 14-week semester elsewhere. But that is exactly what our pre-health office does, and they do it very well.
Awesome, thank you. And I'm glad that you brought up the 7 weeks component too, because I got a great question I think could actually bounce off that a little bit. Talking a little bit about the project-based learning, do you guys as students feel that there's a downside to project-based learning? And can it be overwhelming sometimes with the schedule that we have, and how do you adapt to that?
I can take that question if you want. I would say the hardest part about project-based learning is learning to work with a team of people, but it's honestly a life skill that you'll take on for the rest of your life, especially in biology. So getting the practice in here now and getting the skills is going to set you up way better for a job than it would be if you were thrown into that project-based learning when you're a full-time employee. So that would be like my downside, but I'm glad I'm getting the practice now.
Yes, exactly. I tell students all the time that come to campus, when you finally go out and go on those job interviews, you're going to be asked, when have you worked in groups, conflict resolution skills in groups? When you're working with a group and something goes wrong in the project, how do you adapt to that? Our students are so uncommonly prepared for those questions because they do it during their whole 4 years here. So it really helps set themselves up for success. As we go into our sophomore year, how long do students really spend on arts and humanities classes, and how does that look like in your schedule?
So I can talk really quickly about what the requirement is.
Yeah.
So students are required to take a total of 6 humanities and arts courses. But there are many different ways to do this. So, the humanities courses that you choose can be more or less whatever you want. You pick sort of an area, a thematic area, and you take some courses in that area, but then you also are required to take some courses outside of that area. And then many of our experiences, which I just talked about. So for example, the Great Problem Seminars, those are like a double class that one of them counts for many of the courses, one of them counts as a humanities. And so there's a lot of different ways to achieve your humanities. I don't know, Adrian or Hannah, would you like to talk about your humanities?
I would just add that it doesn't all have to be in your sophomore year as well. If you want to spread it out, you can start it. Like I started Spanish in freshman year and also came in with credit. So I was able to jumpstart into the biology major a little quicker.
Yep, similar to Hannah, I came in with some credit and focused more on the history humanities, but the program is very flexible and you can do, like Dr. Farney said, pretty much whatever you want, as long as you've hit the requirements.
Awesome, great answers, thank you. We had another question come in. Is there a specific office for advising students to study abroad? And I kind of want to add on to this too. And what does it look like getting placed in your IQP and how you go through that process?
So I'll talk about the office and then I'll let the students talk about the what the placements are like. But we do actually have a global projects program that has an office and a full staff that will assist you in doing your study abroad experience.
I can add to sort of the application process. You work with the global school directly and they help you with like all of your scheduling and getting everything ready for you. You submit an application and it's kind of an essay on where your passions lie and where you would fit best. So for me, like I wrote a lot about how I've taken a lot of Spanish courses and how I really want to get better at the language. So I was sent to Ecuador. So
Awesome, that's great. When we're looking at the biology classes, I know this can get a little nitpicky here, so if you don't know, that's totally okay. And again, this is more of a question that students can definitely work out in it with their advisor too. But when we're looking at the biotech major and some like bioinformatics and computational biology major, what does that overlap look like and how realistic would that be to double major in a program like that?
can take that one. It's still a major.
Yeah.
It's it's much easier than other majors to have that overlap. A lot of classes do overlap. Like one common example is genetics counts in both majors because you have to take it as a requirement. I think the structure of the bioinformatics major makes it very easy to major with it, as it gives you a range of options in advanced disciplinary. So if you want to focus with biology more on a focus of biomathematics and biostats, you can then fill up those advanced disciplinary courses with mathematics in addition to biology. If you want to focus with a lot of biochemistry, you can do that too, or even biophysics. You can fill up the rest of physics if you like. So having that flexibility makes it a lot easier.
Awesome. Great. Thank you. And when we're talking about the IQPs, I think this is a great question. Are study abroad opportunities required for your IQP, or can they be done within Massachusetts or the United States?
They can absolutely be done within Massachusetts, and they can be done right here on our campus. So we do have our global projects program is really popular, but many of our students do projects. We have project centers in Worcester. We have project centers in Boston. And then there are a number of project centers that are in the United States. So you would travel to Colorado, Washington, D.C., and Santa Fe, New Mexico, Hawaii, but they're within the United States. So you absolutely don't have to travel. But we also have examples of project centers that are run right here on our campus. So for example, we have a sustainability project center that is really focused on how do we make WPI a more sustainable place. So if that's of interest to you, we have those opportunities as well.
Awesome. Great. Thank you. And when we're looking at the majority of biology students, are they pre-med students, or are they students who want to pursue biology for research or other purposes when we look at our class makeup?
I wouldn't say that it's definitely not the majority who is pre-med. It's a good section. I wish I had the actual statistics. I don't have it right. I'm just thinking of, I have about 20 academic advisees, and I'd say maybe 6 of them are pretty solidly in the pre-health area. So that could be pre-vet, pre-dental, pre-medical. I had some go to pharmacy, but it certainly isn't the majority. So we have a lot of people that are interested in graduate programs, and then a lot of people for research. And then we do have many students that go straight into the biotechnology workforce.
Awesome. Great. Thank you. And I don't think we have any more questions that have come in. We do have just about 10 more minutes if we need that time for questions. Don't feel like you have to answer any more questions if you already have, ask any more questions if you already had. Oh yes, great. Number one coming in. Great question right here. Do you have a sense of the proportion of graduates who head to graduate or professional schools versus those who go right into the job market?
So again, I would say, I'm just thinking of my own advisees. I'd say maybe about, 30% are going to some kind of master's or PhD program. But probably the largest percentage go into the workforce. So, there's plenty, there are students that go into all sort of 3 options.
Awesome, great. Does WPI have opportunities to take classes at other universities nearby?
Also a good question. We do allow transfer credits. At the moment, I'm not sure what our standing agreements are with other courses, but we do allow transfer credits. So if you take a course over the summer somewhere else, you can apply to have those credits transferred.
Awesome. And then let's see. How does the process of applying / going to law school look like coming out of this major?
Wow. So I personally haven't had a student go into law that I've advised, but I'm sure they do. I have to be honest, I don't know.
Yeah, that's totally okay. I know I actually used to work as a member of a law school back in the day too. And really what law schools are looking for is any type of research skills, writing skills, that's going to carry you out through there. And it doesn't matter specifically what major you are during your undergraduate time, that can lead to that program. So I would definitely reach out to advisors on that track to see where you could go. But that's a great question to ask while you're here on campus.
Yes. I will also add
yes.
the Office of Academic Advising is wonderful. I mean, I've been at some other universities and rarely have I seen such a dedicated crew of advisors, and these are university-wide advisors. So every student will get an individual faculty advisor like myself, but then we also have a whole office of academic advisors. We have a whole office of there's the Career Development Center that will help you with all of these types of questions, and they're really fantastic.
Awesome. And when we're looking at job placement after graduation, do we see some students getting offers during their times of study or until after graduation, or kind of a mix of both?
I mean, I think it's a mix of both, but right now, the folks that are coming out of my lab are getting employed pretty quickly, actually. So they're, companies tend to not like, at least biotechnology companies tend not to like to hire more than like a month or two out. So it's usually in around April that the students that I've interacted with start getting those job offers. But I have many students that have offers lined up right now for when they graduate in May.
Absolutely, our students find a lot of success. I know the most recent statistic that I had off the top of my head for the overall placement rate was just about 90%, and that was during the year of the pandemic too, with everything happening. So our students are finding success no matter what the environment really looks like, which is great to see. I don't see any more questions coming in, but just in case any more come in, Adrian and Hannah, just a quick question. Do you have any of your favorite activities that you have on campus outside of academics that you like to get involved in?
I can go first. I am very involved in student life on campus. I'm a bio teaching assistant for one of the core classes here, and we have the biotech club. But aside from like all school related activities, I try to do fun things as well. I'm a part of Greek life on campus, which is like pretty big here and is a great opportunity for community service events and just networking with other students across campus. So I keep myself very busy with the activities we have going on.
Yep. In addition, same here with the Biotech Club, but Bioinformatics Club, they're great networking places and great networking sites, so you can get and connect with alumni. In addition, I also serve as a PLA or undergraduate TA as a TLDR for a few courses here, which you can achieve by getting an A in the class and then working with professors. In addition, I am on the club water polo team here at WPI, and that is just going out, having fun with tournaments. And if you want to stay the city life, because it's a college city, there's plenty of events going on, whether it's on our campus, and as COVID restrictions go down, other campuses, you're able to go visit them more often.
Awesome, thank you for bringing that up. And since we were talking about that, we actually had a great question pop in, talking about how many clubs are really manageable and how do you balance your your academics and your clubs while you're taking those 3 courses per term?
I would say that everyone on campus, like from the students to teachers, are very aware that academics come first, so you can kind of make what you want out of it. I know that like for the biotech club, there'll be some weeks where like I won't go to a meeting because I'll have a lot of homework, and then other weeks where I do go. So it's pretty flexible, and there's very involved students here on campus. You really can make what you want out of how many clubs you want to do. But I would say I'm in like 3 or 4 clubs right now, but I don't feel like really overwhelmed by the time commitment of them.
If you should come here, if you choose to accept here, we have a more robust like club fair, activities fair. During that time here, when you go for new student orientation, have fun and see kind of what clubs you want to join, and then you'll be able to kind of back chat from there. When I came here as a freshman, I enlisted sounds like a very harsh word, but listed off as a few clubs of interest, and then from there found what I liked, what I didn't like, the groups I wanted to do, like club water polo, and work from there.
Awesome, thank you all so much. I like this question because I think it'll help expand what students think they can do with clubs and involvement and with their extra time too. So going into pre-med, the student asked, should I only do bio-related clubs? Or would I be just as fine if I joined other clubs, such as like the cheese club or the photography club that we have on campus?
Bluntly, no, you don't need to. Only just do bio-related clubs. Do what you like. It's gonna be your time, how you like to spend it. And if you want to get like positions for leadership for med school, like you were doing research in the labs, you were doing laboratory-based classes, and you were some president or secretary or treasurer for this club, I think that should be sufficient, and that would be good. But as long as you're doing what you like and you're enjoying the club itself, that's most important.
Absolutely. There's a big reason why your overall time at WPI is your college experience, not just your college education. We want you to do stuff that you enjoy outside of the classroom too. And we constantly talk about making you a great, well-rounded individual as well. And not just having your blinders on and going from point A to point B, but really diversifying your backgrounds, diversifying your interest, and making you a creative problem solver and a creative innovator in the world as well. So always get involved with what you really like. And kind of going more off of clubs too, are there any clubs that you wouldn't recommend for any freshmen, as in it might be better to join them a little bit later? I can't think of any off the top of my head. All of our clubs are super, super inclusive to a lot of first year students.
Yeah, I agree. I think getting in the more, like being exposed to more clubs early on is better because you can learn from upperclassmen and figure out what you want to do with your life.
Absolutely. I think joining clubs is the best way to get involved on the campus right away from day one, best way to find your friend group, and best way to just meet and mingle with people. I love Adrian's virtual background right there of the quad. During some of your first days on campus, the whole quad is just going to be lined with tables of every single club that we have. Talk to them. Just because you talk to them or write your name down doesn't mean you have to join the club at the end of the day, but see what they're all about. See about getting involved and really see what you can do here on campus to get engaged, be active, and just be a part of the WPI community. Because I really think we do have a special community here that's very welcoming and opening to everybody and always wants to help people be successful. Awesome. I don't see any more questions coming in. So with that being said, and we're just about out of time here, I think I'm going to wrap it up right about now. In the chat for everybody to see, I'm going to post the link where you can go to if you feel like you're ready to make your enrollment deposit. So if you ever need it, you can take that link down there, copy and paste it, and it'll lead you directly right to the page. If you have any questions for us at all, please don't hesitate to reach out to us after the presentation. And someone did ask this question, I decided to type it in, but for anyone who joined a little bit later, this presentation is being recorded today and it will be posted on our website under wpi.edu/+visits. So you should be able to get this recording there to pick up anything that you might have missed in the beginning. I want to take some time to thank our panelists today. This was an awesome presentation. I want to thank our attendees too. You all asked amazing questions that really got us engaged with you all. So it makes the presentation that much better. So once again, congratulations on your acceptance. Please keep engaged if you have any questions whatsoever. And I hope you have a great rest of your day today.
Thank you. Thanks, Patrick.
Thank you.